After a long week of competition with my 4 incredible horses, I was going to give the new built Go a go. It's a guilt-free product from the Built Bar. So great tasting. This one in particular is the peanut butter and honey. It is made with natural honey. It has 100 calories, 15 grams of protein, and it's that collagen protein, which is fast absorbing, which makes it great. 200% vitamins, niacin, B12 and B6, and amino acids, as well as 100 milligrams of caffeine. So when you hit that wall, it's really good at busting that thing down and also helping in recovery. I'm also doing the Built Boost. It's got 6 flavors. I'm using the Cloud 9 flavor. And it's a good immune defense, so I can tend to be pretty bad about my water intake, and these are really great and easy to do on the go. It has 100% of the vitamins that you need in your day, so I'm pretty good with this morning's breakfast of making sure I'm feeling better and recovering. And a couple other tasty tips for the new Built Go to be used is on apple slices, your protein shake, or it's even good enough by itself.
You can't have mine.
So here is Lee at Carolina, and this is our first 4-star. So heading into this test, I always like to try to get the horses around because this arena always has a fair amount of atmosphere now. No spectators were allowed, but it still has its own type of energy, and you can see it was really foggy. The weather was quite cold compared to back what we had in Florida. So horses were feeling pretty fresh, but I'm just trying to get Lee here to kind of focus, and you can see the bottom of the arena is a little bit more so the spookier side because it's got that tent and you can't see the line of photographers behind that car, and actually that car is one of the judges. So what's a little bit different for your FEI events is we have 2 judges. So one judge at C and then another judge over on the side. So here I'm working on getting the canter right and just taking my time before I come down the center line. And I'm working on making sure I have a very straight center line coming in for our halt. And I wanted him to step up square, but clearly we weren't, but it is at I. And then moving off in a nice straight line. Now the shoulder end starts at S, so I did a little shoulder 4, meaning I had the shoulders kind of leading off the center line, and then trying to have a good angle. And we go to V, and then we do a half circle back to a half pass, which you're not going to be able to tell from this angle, but we have the bend heading towards the rail. And you want to make sure your shoulders are ahead and the haunches are following and crossing over. So he does those pretty well. Come in here for our halt. That was square. And then our back. For five steps. He got a little bit crooked, but nice and prompt and clear. And he's feeling pretty good. I really feel like he's getting a lot stronger. And mentally he felt very workmanlike. So again, we do another shoulder in to our half 10-meter circle, and he tried to beat me with his haunches a little bit. He's a smart horse, so he kind of knows what's coming next, so I had to try to get ahead of him with the shoulders, so the haunches were not leading for the half pass. And then to the down transition at C. It's getting much better for him. He used to, for the down transitions, really kind of stop on the front end and not come through his back. And he's feeling nice and relaxed, so I'm trying to push for that medium walk. And then we go S to F for our extended walk. I still have to work on getting his nose a little bit more out. He still likes to kind of tuck it, but you can see he's got a very good overstep. And that's just where I need them to take the contact a little bit further out. But I could ride up into that walk. I wasn't having to contain. He was being very rideable. And now preparing for my canter at A. And I was actually super pleased with that because he tends to hollow out for those, but he stayed nice and through. So now coming for our change, he gave me a very nice change, and it's actually right to left can be the harder side where we can be a little late, but it was a nice clean change. And then we go directly into a canter half pass. And now coming down the center line for our extended canter. I always have to really kind of tell him, okay, Lee, you can go, because he's always wanting to wait a little bit, which is a nice feeling. Now preparing for the left to right change across, we turn left at P. I lost my straightness here. You can see it gets a little wiggly, so that caused a late change, which I was a little annoyed with myself about, because that's actually the left to right is his stronger side. And then into the canter half pass. And now we come and we trot at M, which can be very difficult for the advanced horses that want to canter walk all the time. And then across the diagonal for our extended trot, which for this test, it really tends to help the horses have done all the canter work, so you can have a nice extended trot. And down the center line, making sure I can keep him straight. He gets a little wiggly. And into our final halt, which he was very nice and square. I was super pleased with the test. We went fairly early on in the order, but he got a decent score of a 31, so I was really, really pleased with his workmanlike attitude and his rideability. So really happy with this phase, and was looking forward to moving on to show jump. Now moving on to show jump, Carolina is known to have a little bit of a tougher show jump track, so it is on grass. But the footing here is, it's got a sand base, so it had rained a fair amount, but the footing was holding up really well. And the thing about Lee is he, out of all of my horses, tends to slip a little bit more, so I always have to stud him a little bit bigger so he can have the confidence to go and push off the ground. So coming to the first fence, I was like, okay, he's feeling pretty good. And then this was a bending 8 stride to a 5 to this yellow oxer. I was really happy to jump that yellow oxer clean, because on my 2 rides before on Sharpie and Munson, I had taken that rail. Then coming to this double, he jumped that super good. Now I'm preparing for this triple bar. I want to make sure I get in close, because this line actually walked tight in a 5, and I got there nicely, but he just dropped that right leg on me, I think anticipating the turn. Sometimes he likes to think he's a little too smart. And now coming to this oxer, this is a 6 stride, and I decided to do the bending 8 here, which seemed to ride quite nicely for him. And then we just have our there's a stone jump right here off of the turn. She jumps that really well. And then preparing for this triple, I saw a little bit of the gap. I knew that was a bit of a risk, which caused the middle down. But then he jumped the rest really well. Overall, I was super pleased with his round. Just took 2 little things that we can work on, but really happy. On to cross country. Now, the weather here has been quite rainy and cold for us. This morning it was in the 30s for our cross country, so quite chilly. I had to wear gloves because my hands were just frozen. It was good for the horses though, but I was cold. So heading out on cross country, jumped the first one pretty well. Heading out to the next table, which is kind of along this road here, and just trying to establish my rhythm. And coming to this, I could see the nice spot, but then he just kind of decreases a bit, and I had to be like, come on, we got to get going, can't be stalling in the air, these are big. So coming to the next fence 3, that was a much better in rhythm jump. Now coming to this next combination, I knew I needed to ride this pretty well, but I allowed for a little bit of a left drift, which just caught us off of that left first skinny, which was a little frustrating, I have to say, because I've been working on that with Lee. But again, that was more so my accuracy. And part of our relationship still is building, where when I make those mistakes, for him to learn to hunt the flags down for me, which is, what I had with Johnny. But that will come. As you could see, my training has worked because it was kind of an awkward distance to get to, and he was able to jump it fine the next time. And then the double, he rode through really well. I was a little concerned because, again, it was that open left side. And you'll be able to see here from the side view. I made sure I rode really forward to it because it was a little bit of a gappy one. And he did that really well. Now, Carolina was live streamed. You can see it can be a little hard for us to kind of get all the video. So that's why I'm going in between the helmet cams, because it's in between the trees and kind of up and down hills, which is great to have this terrain for the horses. But now coming to this coffin, which I was kind of concerned about for Lee, because he can have some confidence things there, but he did that super well. And then heading now to the Normandy bank, which was this huge ditch in front of this bank. And I had ridden it previously on the 3-star horses, but this was bigger. But he just pinged right up there perfectly and read the skinny really well. So got some of those big things out of the way, the coffin and the Normandy bank. Now coming up to these gates, which every cross-country rider hates vertical gates because they're very vertical. But Lee jumped those really nicely. And now coming to the big ditch and wall off of the turn, Ian Stark kind of playing around a little bit, like gave you a burly feel there. And coming to this water, which was pretty imposing, this is a huge drop into water. It walked in a 5, but I ended up adding and doing 6, which made Lee kind of stall a little bit. So I had to be like, come on, let's go. And we did that in a 6. And then this was an easy 5. So that's a lot coming at you. And here you'll be able to see the side view. I was really happy with how he jumped that ditch and wall. And now I'm just kind of trying to get ourselves sorted and be like, hey, come on. And we got to a little bit of an awkward distance, but he sorted it out. And I just balanced right here. And that made me kind of add and get the 6. And then I had to kind of power him up there and be like, come on. But you see, he's jumping beautiful. And it just felt easy for him. So I was feeling pretty confident. We had these little speed bumpy things. You always have to mind respect to make sure your horse gives a good shape. And then coming to these massive rails, those things are huge, but Lee jumped it really easily. And then again to another table, which was pretty massive, but it was frangible as well. And now we have a little bit of a gallop. You see, I have to weave in between the trees. And again, the footing has a sandy base and it was wet, but it wasn't sticky. It didn't feel like my horses were holding it at all. And being a rider, you want to try to find fresh ground for your horses. So I tried to not go in the same track as everyone else. And now heading to the water, which we had this ginormous cordwood, and then it was 7 strides into the water. And then I just rode to kind of a point of a turn, which ended up being 8 strides. And then to these 2 skinnies, which he did well. And I could have ridden maybe that line a little bit tighter and been a little bit quicker, but it was really just an educational round since we had already had that stop, and I wanted to make sure he was really confident. And he did. He feels great. He's got ears forward, nice and pricked. Now coming to the final corner combination. Again, this walked in a 6, but I kind of added here, made sure I got it done in the 7, and then on to the last fence. And overall, I was really pleased with how he felt. He felt really confident and willing to go. I just have to kind of work on that left shoulder drift for us to start getting those clean rounds. But overall, for his first 4-star and second advanced, I was super pleased with him. And again, how he kind of felt coming out of it. He felt very proud of himself. So that's what I was looking for.